We're going to Mars.
Welcome, everybody. How are you doing? So we're fresh off the event, Elon Day at Pluton Brewery. We just finished. It was pretty awesome. I think I felt a lot of love and a lot of positive vibes there. So it was really cool. I'm really glad we did it. I think it was a lot of fun. And because we have a visitor here that's only here for one day, we decided that right after the event, we're going to have a podcast and talk to the creator's intern, which is here for just today. He arrived yesterday when I met him, right?
Yeah.
And then he's leaving tomorrow. So he just came in for the event. But I had some interesting conversations with you. And first of all, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you, man. And so I had some interesting conversations. So I wanted to start with your impression of Brownsville in one day. And I want to start with this. Like, you know, it was I don't want to say it's an aggressive conversation, but it was like, you were like, I could live here. Right. And that's a one day so how's you been your experience? How'd you hear about us? How'd you get here?
Well, I mean, I was invited here last minute to kind of show up and represent, Own the Doge at this event because, we had sponsored this event to help create a new tourist attraction here in the town. And I actually hadn't heard of Brownsville myself. I was actually told to just come here and, represent. And being an intern as I am, I did my job and showed up and, but coming to actually learn more about this and what the whole town is all about and like how, because I knew that Elon had
something in Texas,
something happening in Texas. I didn't know where. I didn't know what the name of the town was. I didn't know where he went. You know what I mean? So coming here and actually being able to experience it and saying like, oh wow, also, like the border is also like right there too.
Yeah.
That's
literally like blocks away from where we were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow, okay, there's a lot of interesting things here, personally and also nationally. Like I've got a lot of interest in this place now because it wasn't on the map for me earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it is now.
Well, first of all, before we go on, tell everybody where you're from so they kind of know like the area you're from.
Yeah, sure. I'm from Galesburg, Illinois.
Yeah, so Galesburg, Illinois. So yeah, so what? Because if you say White and he's heard of Brownsville, because he's in Galesburg, Illinois. I mean, I had never heard of Galesburg, Illinois until today. Yeah, so I get that part, and but I think that one is this has been an amazing experience for us as Beyond Media because one, like I think I told you, right? This has been happening more and more. Like people are coming and we get these great creative experiences. But today and this week has been really amazing just because of all the things that transpired, right? And I don't know if that motivated you to come, like, because I know you came last minute. I don't know if what we did last weekend motivated you more to like show up, or were you already planning to come?
I mean, I hadn't even heard of it until Smoke told me about it and, showed me some of the videos and everything.
So you saw some of the statue?
Yeah, I was able to see some of that stuff and I was like, wait, so like there's a giant bust of Elon Musk like heading down the highway that just got pulled over by the cops and you need me to go and represent, unveiling that? Of course. Like, of course. Like, that sounds like a moment. Like, of course I'll be there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that you came. I think that also that the group that you got to meet was very dynamic in there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I think we met employees from SpaceX. We met all these kinds of different people that showed up that had a lot of interest. We had some interesting questions. Like I was like, about the technology part of it, which I thought you answered very well, but that was interesting to me that we had those questions from the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love how the community or, folks who are in the audience there were interested in learning more about, the benefits of how to create, art and how to monetize it as a creator. That's actually one of the things that, I kind of like that drives me is like helping people to become creators,
I think I want you to expand on that, which is why I entered it. But the thing is that you said something very interesting, and I want you to repeat that, right? So there was a question out there, and then the way you phrased it was talking about how they saw it in their family structure. So I want you to kind of say how it was.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like, one of the best ways to frame it for people to understand is like, say, your kid wants to be an artist, like, your kid wants to be a musician, your kid wants to do something creatively. And, they go out and you put them through school, you spend all the money to put them through college. Um, you have like millions of dollars invested in their creative aspirations.
Trying for them to be successful.
Yeah. Only to find out that they're entering like this oversaturated market where creativity is undervalued. It's made into a commodity where, Spotify is paying, fractions of a cent per stream. There's so much monopolization out there that, unless you're one of the chosen few that the algorithm wants you to find, you're not going to find them. And, there's AIs out there that are going to be taking and replicating your artwork and taking your style. And, unless you're able to somehow put a stamp on that, like a stamp of authenticity, and able to like directly, independently take control of your monetization as a creator, then the future of creators and the future of creator economy is only going to continue to deteriorate into the hands of these centralized authorities.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that the way you said it until after, and I'm like still processing it, because one of the things that makes sense to me, the way you phrased it, was that then art becomes very, very, very regional, right? It's like you can only succeed in your town, and your town has limits, right? Where obviously, if you're able to go all over the world, your like audience just grows just by, even if it's a very low percentage, that niche is very big, right? Because all over the world, some people might relate very well to your art, and connect with you. But if you can't even get there because an AI before saw it regionally, took it, and then blasted it all over, by the time you come around, you don't even look authentic, even if it's yours.
Yeah.
So having the authentication stamp, like you mentioned, right? Like you phrased it, is having a source of like, where does this originate from, right? Whose brain, whose community, where does this come from, right? Because there's some crazy ideas out there, and I think that a lot of things like get mentioned, like you did with AI, but there's also a lot of positive things with AI, and so it's like, I think it's going to make us even more creative, hopefully. And so, but where does that come from? Where does that seed come from? And where does that originality come from? And can we stamp it and say like, hey, we can source that back, and not even like in the immediacy of what you said and monetize, but like in the future, right? Like 20 years from now, but like, where did that come from? And there was this dude, or 100 years from now, right? It's not even alive anymore. And that guy originated that idea, and we can source it to that person. And I think that throughout humanity, we probably lost a lot of that, just the way we are and stuff,
Absolutely. And I mean, a lot of that too is the community that comes around, NFT collections and artists that are able to, create their works on the blockchain, where, if you're a collector on, the blockchain, you can be a global collector and a global fan of that artist.
Yeah.
Whereas, again, these artists that are trying to sell themselves in galleries, they're limited to whatever gallery is going to let them into the, be seen. And like, so many of these galleries are already, they're full up, or they have deals, or it's, again, the industry that you have to know people, you have to have backhand deals, you have to, all this
who
other
stuff. It's how you network.
It's who you know, exactly. Yeah. So it's, but when you can take control of your independent, distribution to actually go worldwide.
Decentralized.
As a single person to go worldwide, that completely changes the entire game, because then you've got a whole community of people, whether that's on like Discord or Twitter or whatever kind of social that you create for yourself as a creator. You can have hundreds of people from around the world that are supporting you as a creator and an artist that, as otherwise, 10 years ago, before all this technology existed, that would not exist. You'd not be able to have that level of support for yourself as an artist,
I think we had a conversation at Pluton that I don't know if you remember, but I was talking to you about the part of, when do we get more people to be aware of this, right? Because NFT had a boom. Remember, I was talking about like NFT had a boom like during COVID, let's say, and everybody was all hyped up, and then it had a downfall, right? And then I don't even think that in the future the word NFT might be the term, right? It was a popular term now, but it kind of describes what it is, right? To take a digital thing and make it into an asset, let's say, right? So um when do you envision that? And I think I asked you this, but I don't know if we got the right. I don't know if we kept talking about it, but when do you envision that, like, society, not even all society, but some society is accepted? Like I was talking to you about Bitcoin, right? When Bitcoin, like we all understood it, that it's going to be a thing, even though we might not own it or we might not have it. But when do you think like it generalizes that way?
I feel like the idea that it came out during COVID and was such a popular thing during COVID is really a symptom of the entire benefit that NFTs give to society. That the fact that COVID was happening and that everyone was locked inside, and that they didn't really have anything much else to do, um, and the fact that really we were disconnected from each other and we really saw our entire society from a different perspective, from the fact that for those who were classified as qualified, what was the word that they used, um high, it was like high, certain workers were supposed to,
Yeah.
high priority essential workers.
Essential workers. Sorry.
Yeah, so um so back in, COVID times when we had the idea of essential workers, the fact that we had folks that were told, "Oh, you're not really essential to society.
Right.
You can just stay home." I think that really changed a lot of things. The fact that like our governmental structures and the central entities that be can just out of nowhere decide that, you're not important.
Right.
Like your job is not important or your career is not important or the thing that you've been driving yourself for is not important. So
and I think AI is giving people that realization right now, right? Like, hey, your job might not be important 5 years from now.
Exactly.
Right? That's what they're telling you over and over, right? Like,
exactly.
oh, that's what you do? 5 years from now, you might not even be needed.
And I think that, the NFT boom was the perfect moment in society for creators and for people to see that there is such thing as a universal basic income. It's for people who create. It's for people who create something and they build something. If you build something, you create something and people enjoy that and they like that and it makes their day, that should be enough to earn right there.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to go, work some job for somebody else that you don't like. You shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to, as a content creator, just create something that people like. And the fact that they like that should earn you money right away.
That would be amazing because then I'd make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen that way. Yeah.
That's where we're going to in this world where AI is going to start taking all of our jobs. Machinery is going to start taking all of our jobs. What will we be left with?
Right.
What we'll be left with is the ability to create and use our brains and our imaginations to captivate people, to tell stories, to make artwork and music that, speaks to people. And if you're doing that, you have every right to 100% of your income. It shouldn't be some, corporate entity that, for the last 20 to 60 years has been, gradually getting more and more hold of a certain industry to the point where you can't be successful unless you sign over your soul to that.
It's like the fast food of stuff for your brain, right? Like I'll give you corporate stuff, it's fast food for your brain, or do you want a steak dinner created by a Michelin chef?
Yeah.
Right? That could be a creator that makes something that makes you feel so good and happy, or connects with you and makes you even cry or makes you feel a certain way. Yeah. What is that worth? Really?
Yeah.
What are your experiences worth? Right? In that sense. So that makes a lot of sense. That I like the way you've phrased it. That's really cool. So before we go, let's talk a little bit about Own the Deutsch, because that's why I think you're a sponsor from Own the Deutsch. You're representing this Own the Deutsch. Explain a little bit of that and what it is, and so people can kind of follow.
Yeah. I'm representing Own the Doge and also the creators, so like we can talk about both.
Okay, yes.
But yeah, like the Own the Doge, it really represents the idea that every ordinary moment that you have can become extraordinary. And I think that is like best quantified through the Doge meme. You know, they were just having fun and blogging their everyday life. Atsuko and her partner were just taking photos of a dog, of their brand new dog that they got, and they were just having fun. And it just became from there, uh somebody just
For
made a
whatever
for
reason.
whatever reason they chose that dog, and they were like, yes, that is the dog, and I'm gonna make this meme. And it just started a revolution in terms of online culture. um I feel like memes did exist before Doge, of course, but Doge is one of the best examples of memes that if you look back on it in the last 10 years, I think that's, the most iconic, most memorable
I want to ask you a
meme.
question about that because I don't know much.
Yeah.
Right. So when does Doge, the meme, become associated? I know it's not part of Dogecoin, but when does it become associated and when is it attached? And then when does Elon just throw his whole magic on it and makes it go crazy?
Yeah, so I think it was around 2014. That's when I was kind of into Dogecoin for the first time. I even have like a 2014
So the
Dogecoin
Dogecoin
shirt.
precede Doge meme?
The Doge meme came out first.
Okay.
That came out first. The Doge meme was, I think, 2 years after the original photograph.
Got it.
So the original photograph was posted on Atsuko's blog in Japan. It was just a daily lifestyle blog. And then I think it was about 2 years later that somebody posted the meme. I think it was in 2014, then about a year or so later, that somebody took a derivative of, I think, Litecoin and created Dogecoin. And I believe that is why Litecoin and Dogecoin are mined together in terms of, whenever you want to mine Dogecoin, you also mine Litecoin at the same time.
And then they decided somehow that, well, I guess it's then based on the meme, right? The name is based on the meme.
Of course, yeah. The name Dogecoin came from the meme. They created it as a joke just to see if they could create, a coin that was just for fun, that had no value. That's their original stated purpose.
Is that the first? Because now it's a term. I think meme coin is a term, and I think, is that the first ever meme coin?
I think you could absolutely say so. Yeah, because there was, moon coin, there was poop coin, there was everything that you could imagine.
But it wasn't attached to
exactly. There was nothing that was attached to a meme until I think Dogecoin, was the first.
And then do you know when Elon decides to hey, I'm gonna throw some?
I don't know the exact year when he started that, but I know that it was around the time of that SNL episode that we all remember.
But I remember it had even started beforehand because people were anticipating he's going to say something at SNL or whatever, because it was already, he was kind of flirting with it or whatever.
Yeah, he had been making some tweets that he was saying oh yeah, if I'm going to invest in something for my future children, I'm going to get them Dogecoin or something like that. That was a huge thing for everybody to recognize that and be like, oh, okay, so I guess this, billionaire is going to invest in this crazy altcoin. Why does he believe in it? Why does he believe in it? Everybody starts Googling that,
That's what I mean from when I'm telling you, when does it generalize, right? When does a population be even though they're not investing, they're at least understanding it and seeing it and be like, oh, and Elon has a lot of that, right? Elon makes stuff that's maybe obscure or niche into something that people are like, now I'm going to look into it.
Yeah, he makes things that are studied.
Yes,
yeah,
that's weird.
He is an odd individual. He's a weird individual. He's very different from the average person, and people love to study him. He's an alien from outer space.
Yeah. It's amazing. So, okay, before I forget, then talk a little bit about the creators.
Okay, yeah. So the creators is a art and tech collective. It's created to further the goals of allowing anybody to become a creator. We believe that it is a human right to be able to create something. We believe that it's also a human right to be able to build, something like, an app or a game or something like that. It should be a human right to be able to, discover whatever you want to discover and not have algorithms tell you what you should be discovering. Yeah, exactly. And we also believe in it's a human right to be able to monetize and to whatever you're doing with your soul that you're spending your time on, you should be able to have that universal basic income of, you're a creator, you're creating something of value to the world.
And if
it's enjoyable,
yeah.
if it's enjoyable, then it needs to be and it should be monetized. Yep, that's what we believe. So the Creators is a foundation. It's a nonprofit. We're created to bring education to underserved communities, to bring them the ability to become creators, become developers. We want to make schools and coding classes and art classes for kids so that they can learn that you can feed yourselves and your family just by creating art and posting it online. And if you mint it and people start buying it, and we want that to become a way that underserved communities in general can rise up out of poverty.
You had told me at Pluton that you had created something to teach people how to turn their artwork into NFTs, let's say. But I wanted to take it a step further. The question goes further, is like, have you ever worked on something for kids to understand how this process works?
I've worked on, in my opinion, something that is for the masses, but not specifically for kids. I've not worked on a curriculum. That's actually in my
because when you started talking about it, I was like, what would be really cool is if we embedded in kids already. Like, hey, look, this other pathway.
That's why if the Creators Foundation can find funding, we're going to be making a curriculum. We're going to be giving resources to teachers around the world, and we're going to be helping to introduce this type of learning into both art classes, computer classes, and we believe that home economics and financial economics should be a class. We believe that kids should be learning about finances and how to manage their finances, because there's too many kids who are growing up in these communities that they're getting taken advantage of as teenagers and young adults by just predatory practices in the market, just in general.
Yeah, and I think our education system lays us out there for that too.
Exactly. It just
puts us up there.
It's churning out people who are going to be consumers, who are going to buy into whatever and not do the research. And we see ourselves as the anti-Illuminati. We see ourselves as the ones who are trying to bring the good back to society. Society is falling apart every year, it seems. We're trying to glue it back together as best we can.
The majority of people I think are good. I believe that, honestly, and I do think that sometimes that the negativity just is louder than good people, you know, and that always hinders the way our perspective, right? Talking a little bit more about the Creators, I know you guys just took a trip and an adventure, I think that happened in Dominican Republic. What?
That's right. Yeah.
So what happened? What?
So we had gone down to the Dominican Republic. This is something that we've been doing since 2022. That Method Man, Ray, and Mook of Wu-Tang Clan have been organizing.
You're dropping names.
Yeah.
All right.
And so we were invited last year to help out and organize. We were able to raise a significant amount of money for the children down there. And provide food, clothing, school supplies, and help out to start building a church last year. This year we did the same thing. We raised
same location,
same location, same villages. So we were able to, again, raise money for food, school supplies, to continue renovating the church, to continue updating it and adding more, to kind of bring it up to
So this is kind of like a partnership between the Creators and the Wu-Tang Clan?
This is something that we were just invited to help, and the Creators is, as a charitable organizations ourselves, we look for missions like that to assist with, all around the world. So that's something that we, when we were invited to help, we said yes, especially because,
How'd they find you?
Well, I was the former, education and community lead for GameStop NFT. So with the community following me and how GameStop and Wu-Tang had been associated with, the meme about, the the Wu-Tang album NFT dividend that was a tinfoil theory for a while. Everybody was looking to me to kind of like bring that tinfoil true somehow. So I did my best. I did everything that I could. I continued the relationship with Wu-Tang that we had started back in the day.
I still think it's like one of the biggest things that I remember of that era. Like when everybody's going crazy, is this Wu-Tang NFT, that was trying to like be placed in like,
and that it wasn't completely false. It's like, the community invented that as their theory of what was going on because
everybody was doing.
Yeah, there were certain things that pointed to it though. There were certain, ideas out there or, photos out there that made them think this way. It's just funny that, behind the scenes, something actually was happening and cooking in the background that they just didn't know about. And it just it was slightly different than what they theorized. It's just, but the fact that we were able to finally bring the album to the public and allow everyone to experience it, I see that as a victory. I see that as, finally being able to do what we'd promised for everybody.
Apart from the cool thing to me is like what we were talking about, right? You're talking about cultural icons buying into the future of technology for everybody. The Democrat, like them buying into believing in that decentralization is the way, right? Because cultural icons or people that are very famous are usually like corporate driven because that's how they make everything happen, right?
Yeah.
So to have somebody like them buy into like, hey, this could maybe, even if it did or did not work that time, it's like the future is this.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really a big fan of, Ray Acosta, John Mook Gibbons, Method Man. They've definitely been showing up for the children, as Wu-Tang is for the children. And they've been really living that. And I really like the fact that we were able to be invited down there this year and actually participate and actually bring some visibility back to all the communities that helped to support. We'd been raising money through on-chain art, so people could mint and they could also donate through being a sponsor of that art and then having their name or their signature appear on the art as, adding their voice.
And then that goes directly to that project in particular.
Yep, exactly. Yep. And we were able to then, print that artwork on our shirts, and then we wore that at the event and, brought that home for everybody to see, the real impact of on-chain giving.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool way to do it, right? Because I don't just participate, I create and I participate, right? Like that's amazing that I could create something you're wearing on your shirt and then it's also like me being there helping.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that was one of the best things I think that we came up with was the idea that if you want to contribute to a cause and you want to be part of it on the ground, but maybe you can't travel to the location to actually do it, at least you can donate to it and then have your, your name or your logo or your community represented on the shirts of the people who go there and do it, because then you can say like, hey, look, you can post on your own timeline and be like, hey, look, like this is my brand, this is my logo, this is my community. We're all doing this together.
And that's what I believe. This is what we believe in. Yeah, this is what we believe in.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly. Like when I went to the Dominican Republic, it was, an honor to be able to be invited. And I wanted everyone, like literally hundreds of people who were part of this like giving event to be able to feel like they're like on the ground with me, and I think that was the best way to do it.
How long were you guys there?
We were there for 3 days. Yeah, of coordinating.
So way longer than you were in Brownsville.
Yeah, it's, it's the whole event actually took a whole week to coordinate. Our part of it was just supporting. So we were there for 3 days. But the whole event took a long time to kind of coordinate.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Well, thank you again, man. We hope to see you back here soon, as you mentioned. So we can't wait to see you again.
Awesome. Yeah. Right, brother. Thanks so much, man.